So here's some exciting news for animation fans. Wish Dragon 2 is officially happening. We've got a confirmed release window and even got our first look at the film during a major event in China recently. But here's the twist. The distribution situation is still up in the air, with neither Sony Pictures nor Netflix publicly attached at this point. Quick recap, the original Wish Dragon. Let's rewind for a second. The original Wish Dragon was one of 3 movies that Netflix picked up from Sony Pictures Animation back in the early 2020s during the pandemic era, the other 2 being The Mitchells vs. the Machines and Vivo. The film first premiered in China before dropping globally on Netflix in June 2021. If you haven't seen it, the story follows a college student who gets his hands on a magical teapot with a wish-granting dragon living inside. Pretty cool concept, right? Still going strong on Netflix. Now, the movie did pretty well when it launched, though Netflix's top 10 figures weren't fully introduced back then. But here's the interesting part. According to Netflix engagement reports covering viewership from 2023 through mid-2025, Wish Dragon is still pulling in solid numbers. We're talking an average of 16.42 million views. That's 28.22 million hours every 6 months. Netflix actually has the rights to this film through 2031. The creative team. The film was written and directed by Chris Applehands, with Sony Pictures Animation, Beijing Sparkle Roll Media Corporation, Tencent Pictures, and Base Media all producing. And here's a fun connection. Applehands also worked with Maggie Kang on K-pop Demon Hunters, which became a massive Netflix blockbuster and actually the streamer's biggest movie of all time. Wish Dragon 2 official announcement. So now, about 4 years after the original premiered, we finally have confirmation that a sequel is in the works. Though like I mentioned, distribution is still a question mark. Base Media officially revealed the sequel late last year. On November 17, 2025, they dropped a LinkedIn announcement. And then in December, Chris Bremble did a podcast interview that gave us even more details about what's coming. First look at Golden Rooster 2025. Chris Bremble, who's the founder and CEO of Base Media, presented the first look at Wish Dragon 2 during the 2025 Golden Rooster film promotion event. And we've got a target date, summer 2027. The studio made sure to highlight just how successful the first film was. It was shortlisted for an Academy Award, nominated for a Golden Rooster Award, and hit #1 on Netflix's global animation chart with over 150 million views worldwide. What to expect from the sequel? So what can we expect from Wish Dragon 2? According to the studio, we're getting fully upgraded visuals, deeper storytelling, expanded world building, and brand new characters. The LinkedIn post confirmed that the original US-China creative team is back, with Chris Bremble as director and producer, and Chris Applehands returning as writer. Production status and the Sony situation. After that November reveal, Bremble gave us more insight into the production side during an early December interview on the Befores and Afters podcast. He confirmed they're beginning production on Wish Dragon 2 and that they've finished all financing. Now, here's where things get interesting. While the first film was a partnership with Sony Pictures Animation, the sequel, at least for now, is going independent. Bremble explained they're trying to own what we do as opposed to doing it for some pretty clients. Basically, they want to control their own destiny this time around. But he made it clear that Sony were incredible partners on the first film. Sony and Tencent both came in as the movie was going into production. For the sequel, Bremble said, Sony are out of it currently, but waiting to see sort of how it goes. He added that they'll try to follow up with them soon, so the door's definitely not closed on Sony returning in some capacity. What this means for distribution. So the big question is, where will we actually watch Wish Dragon 2? Since neither Netflix nor Sony are currently attached for distribution, that's still to be determined. With Netflix holding the rights to the original through 2031 and the sequel targeting summer 2027, there's definitely time for deals to be made. We'll have to wait and see how this all plays out, but one thing's for sure. Wish Dragon 2 is officially in production with the original creative team behind it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more animation news and updates.